my family before this because everybody's so angry.
Angry, her cousin battling mental illness and who did not understand the criminal charges against him was murdered in jail. That murder happening as he waited to be transferred to a state facility for treatment.
People in similar situation, those who judges say are incompetent to stand trial, are supposed to start that process within a week. But a 2-year 8 News Now investigation found it's taking much longer than that, leading some criminal cases to be dismissed altogether.
8 News Now investigator David Charnes here with a look at the problem.
Well, there are times we tell you a judge has ruled a person not competent to stand trial. So that means doctors have evaluated them, finding their mental illness prevents them from understanding what's really even happening to them. Just last week, a judge ordered 19-year-old Jesus Ayala, the teenager accused of intentionally hitting and killing a former police chief, to get mental health treatment before he goes to trial. It's a right in the U.S. Constitution. But Nevada doesn't have enough space to treat these people in legal limbo. And that's led to several never getting their cases heard at all because they've died waiting.
15 minutes? The guy had been sitting in there with a dead body. It happened to be my cousin.
That cousin is James Shatine, a cousin Heaven Burns remembers this way, a jokester with a smile no care could wipe away. Do you think he was ignored?
I find it hard to believe that they heard nothing when this man was literally killing him with his bare hands.
Bare hands belonging to his cellmate in a psychiatric unit at the Clark County Detention Center. As mental illness's grip on Shatine tightened, his run-ins with police increased. This was James Shatine in 2012. By 2022, he no longer looked like the cousin Burns knew.
He would go out and preach God to people. Sometimes that went over well, sometimes it didn't.
State of Nevada versus James Shatine.
His arrest this day, his 64th, and what we'd later find out was his last, this time, for exposing himself in public.
The underlying charge is indicative of mental health issues.
2 doctors would find him not competent, meaning he didn't and couldn't understand the charges against him.
I'm remanding him to the custody of the sheriff for transport.
A judge ordering the state to transfer him from jail to one of 2 hospitals where defendants receive treatment to restore their mental health. The 8 News Now investigators confirming as of this month, there are 239 beds in those 2 facilities for this very kind of treatment. Treatment that's required by law to be, quote, prompt and restorative, and treatment that's required to start within 7 days of that judge's ruling. Shatine told the judge he'd waited before.
I waited like 2 or 3 months to get to the program.
I totally understand.
And you said it was 2 weeks.
I'm telling you, I don't know how long.
Judge Christy Craig, who oversees Clark County Competency Court, ordered Shatine into treatment on September 2nd. By October 18th, 6 weeks later, what was supposed to be his temporary holding cell would be the scene of his murder. Lee Johnson, then sharing a cell with Shatine, in jail himself on battery charges, telling officers he was, quote, tired of being disrespected, so he tried to kill him. Documents the 8 News Now investigators obtained reveal over all those weeks of waiting, staff repeatedly ignored Shatine's alerts to possible trouble, writing he had several documented cases of misusing his call light. On the day of Shatine's murder, he activated that call light at 1:47. Officers deactivated it 2 minutes later, and Shatine again called for help 6 minutes later at 1:53. At 2:04, more than 15 minutes after that first sign of trouble, officers found Shatine dead on the floor. Metro Police declining a request for video from that day, saying it would, quote, jeopardize law enforcement personnel and security.
Jails are punitive in nature. So although they provide some level of treatment, they're not medical facilities.
Shatine is one of 2 deaths Chief Deputy Public Defender Arlene Heshmati points to when pushing for defendants to either get that prompt restorative treatment or have their cases dropped. Shatine waited 46 days, a wait time that ended when he died. Records the 8 News Now investigators obtained show the wait time for that month was even longer, 51 days. As of this July, the average was an astounding 128 days, more than 4 months treated like an inmate when the system deems you a patient.
Is that acceptable?
Well, I would say that's absolutely not acceptable. The system is failing these people, and every day that they are in custody is certainly a day lost for them because they can't do anything with their case.
C-15-306-523.
For more than a year,
It is a violation of the Constitution.
the 8 News Now investigators have joined Heshmati, a prosecutor, and Judge Craig watching the ins and outs of competency court, a court which last year saw more than 1,500 competency referrals alone.
This is an ongoing issue that the division is well aware of.
It's a process with complicated results. Heshmati will request cases be dropped due to those long waits. The prosecutor will oppose. Then it's up to Craig to decide what's next. Oftentimes, the former public defender herself will hold the state in contempt for not moving inmates quickly enough. Those fines totaling more than $150,000 so far. That's $500 a day for each case. And money a representative for the state appearing here by Zoom says is better spent elsewhere.
Issuing contempt against the division isn't going to change how far we work to try and work on these solutions and come up with alternatives as well as a long-term plan.
That plan includes adding hundreds of new beds at a new facility here in Clark County. Until then, Heshmati says she will continue to fight for dismissals where appropriate. Each passing day, her client's sitting in jail, not a hospital.
And he could tell, obviously, he wouldn't be hitting the buzzer so many times. And they ignored him.
Heaven Burns believes her cousin knew he was going to die and that the system failed him in more ways than one, treating him like a prisoner and not like a patient.
He was always full of life.
A life the waiting game took away.
I think everybody failed him. Maybe we did too.
James Shatine is one of 2 people we found who have died waiting for a bed here in Clark County. According to a lawsuit, another man diagnosed with schizophrenia starved himself over 2.5 months. He lost more than 60 pounds in jail and died. Right now, the average wait time is 78 days, a win, a state spokesperson tells me, thanks to more staff and more beds. At last check, there are 100 people in jail right here in Clark County waiting for one of those beds to open up. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.